Welcome to Whispering Woods Stories, where the forest slows down, and so do we. Tonight's story is called Fern the Fox and the Owl Who Couldn't Sleep. The moon was high above Whispering Woods. The creek hummed softly. Crickets chirped their tiny songs. Fireflies drifted lazily through the warm evening air. Most of the forest was already asleep. Fern the Fox curled comfortably in her hollow tree. She tucked her tail around her nose, and she sighed a very peaceful fox sigh. Tonight was going to be a very good sleeping night. At least that was the plan. Just as Fern was drifting toward sleep, rustle, flap, rustle, rustle, rustle. Fern opened one eye, then the other. Above her tree, something was pacing on a branch. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Fern poked her head out of her tree hollow. Up on the branch sat Old Willow the Owl. Except he wasn't sitting. He was pacing very slowly, but also very seriously. Fern tilted her head. "Owl," she whispered gently. Old Willow stopped. "Oh, hello, Fern," he added. "You're awake." Fern blinked. "I was asleep." Owl nodded thoughtfully. Yes, that does make this slightly awkward." Fern climbed onto the branch beside him. "Is something wrong?" she asked softly. Owl ruffled his feathers. "Well," he said, "I appear to have developed a thinking problem." Fern waited. Owl continued pacing. "I have many thoughts tonight." Fern nodded slowly. "That happens sometimes." "Yes," Owl agreed. "But these thoughts are not behaving." Fern raised an eyebrow. "They are hopping," Owl explained. "Hopping?" asked Fern. "From one idea to another." Owl gestured with a wing. "I think about acorns, then I think about wind, then I think about whether worms prefer rainy weather." Fern blinked. "That is quite a collection of thoughts." Owl sighed. "Yes, and they are extremely enthusiastic." Just then, crunch! A tiny paw stepped on a very loud twig. Pip the Squirrel froze. Fern looked down. "Hello, Pip." Pip squinted up at them. "Why are you both awake?" Fern pointed at Owl. "Owl's thoughts are hopping." Pip gasped. "That sounds serious." Owl nodded. "I cannot seem to sleep." Pip climbed onto the branch. "Well," he said confidently, "I am excellent at sleeping." Fern looked at him. "Pip, you once stayed awake worrying about acorns for 4 hours." Pip crossed his paws. "That was a strategic planning meeting." Owl sat down again. "My mind keeps asking questions." "What kind of questions?" Fern asked. Owl counted on his feathers. "Important ones. Such as, did I blink earlier today? Where do clouds go when they disappear? Is the moon ever lonely?" Pip's eyes widened. "Oh no," he whispered. "I think those thoughts might start hopping into my brain too." Fern gently placed a paw on the branch. "Let's slow things down." Fern looked at the quiet forest. "Sometimes," she said softly, "when my thoughts are busy, I listen." "To what?" Pip asked. Fern pointed. "The woods." They all sat quietly. The creek bubbled. Leaves whispered. A cricket chirped. Owl blinked slowly. "Well," he said, "that is surprisingly relaxing." Pip nodded. "Yes. And also slightly suspicious." Fern smiled. Pip puffed up proudly. "I have another sleep strategy." Fern raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "Yes." Pip cleared his throat. "When I cannot sleep, I count acorns." Fern nodded. "That makes sense." Pip continued. "Except sometimes I remember acorns I forgot to count. And then I have to get up and count again." Fern blinked. That sounds less helpful." Pip nodded sadly. "Yeah, it's a work in progress." Old Willow watched the fireflies drift through the air. Then he took a slow breath. The thoughts in his mind began to quiet, not disappear, just soften. He listened again. The wind moved gently through the trees. The forest felt calm, very calm. "Oh," Owl murmured, "my thoughts are sitting down." Fern smiled. "That happens when we give them space." Pip tilted his head. "I think my thoughts are lying down." Fern laughed softly. Old Willow tucked his wings close. The moonlight rested on the branch. The forest was quiet again. "I believe," Owl said sleepily, "I may finally sleep." Fern climbed down toward her tree. "Good night, Owl." "Good night, Fern." Pip yawned dramatically. "Good night, everyone." He paused, then whispered, "If my thoughts start hopping again, I will blame the suspicious weather." Fern chuckled. And that night, as the moon watched over the whispering woods, the forest settled into peaceful sleep. A quiet reminder that even busy thoughts can grow calm when we slow down enough to listen. Good night from Whispering Woods. Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe for more stories from the Whispering Woods. We'll see you next time.